Welcome to another SPAC Alpha interview. My name is Dan Dombroski, and today I'm speaking with the chairman of Astrea Acquisition, Moazami, and Tim Hentschel, the CEO and co-founder of HotelPlanner. We're going to be discussing the three-way merger between Astrea, HotelPlanner, and reservations.com. Gentlemen, I really appreciate both taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Tim, could you tell me, what did the environment look like when you first started the company?
Early days of the internet back in 2004, online hotel bookings had just started to, become a big part of e-commerce online. So, we were a small community of engineers and entrepreneurs, and it was a very exciting time. Everybody was trying things out and everybody was helping each other. One of the big conferences that we would always go to is called Focusrite. It's still around today. And there was a small group of hundreds of people. Now it's thousands of people. And the majority of companies that attend are publicly traded. But back then we were all private. And it was a small community looking to do amazing things.
Could you walk me through what did your product look like when you first started to what the company is unraveled into for the offerings today?
So when we first started, we wanted to solve the tough problems in the industry. Everybody else was doing an individual hotel room booking, and they were doing it very well. With a co-founder who's a senior software engineer, came from IBM, top of his class in computer science from Northeastern. I have extensive entrepreneur and hospitality background myself. We had the synergies of a team that looked at the problems to solve from high touch and high automation. And so logically taking on the group booking problem, the problem being that it didn't exist on the internet at the time, and trying to solve that was the first thing that we dove into. And so we wanted to make it so anybody could go online and plan a group of any size, whether it was for a wedding or family reunion or a complicated, thousands of hotel rooms with tens of thousands of square feet of meeting space for a big conference or convention. We wanted to make that so you could get all of that done within, minutes instead of days.
And coming into the present, what do your products look like now? Well,
the products have grown quite a bit. I mean, we've had HotelPlanner 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. We're up to HotelPlanner 5.0 now. And we continue to try to solve those problems in the hotel booking market that are revolve around high touch and high automation. And we've taken the product from an ERP, electronic request for proposal system, into an instant group booking system that's based on closed user group rates. And then we've taken that past just multi-room into discounts for individuals, booking for any length of stay, and deep discounts with personalized service through the first of its kind gig economy travel agent reservation platform. And all of that is backed by AI from start to finish. So with the gig economy travel agent reservation system, we give localized service. And the way that the system, comes together is through AI. It will find the customer and what they're looking to book into what destination, and then automatically match them up with a gig economy reservationist that has either intimate knowledge of the city they're going to or is based in that city. It's actually a pivot from our group system, which the original group system that we had was putting a group coordinator in touch with a localized planner that was based in the market that they were going to do their event in. So we just pivoted that to an individual, and it's worked fantastically well, especially over COVID, because over COVID, people want to ask more questions of locals. So we see a tremendous spike in call volume. And with, this kind of high touch, the conversion for calls to bookings is at an all-time high.
So I've heard you talking about your gig workers. What is a gig worker exactly?
It's anybody that wants to make a little bit of extra money on the side or as a full-time job. It's basically when you make your own hours. So, it's been very popular in the last few years. It will have over $5 billion of revenue flow through the gig market. But, famous gig-based economy companies are Uber, Airbnb. And so you then just basically log into app or extranet in our case. And then the minute you log in and put on your headset, our system starts transferring you calls. You just answer those calls, start talking to people about their trip to your city or a city that you know a lot about. And once they make a booking, then you get paid for that time.
Could you give me some context on what the industry looks like? So who are the biggest players in your space, and what are they doing?
The biggest players in our space is names you would know, like booking.com, trip.com, Expedia, hotels.com. And, they do individual bookings very well, and we complement them because we power them for multiple room bookings, 9+ rooms. And then we also complement, beyond that, the over the phone, call center experience with the first of its kind gig economy platform. So higher customer service is what we strive for with that. And then of course, delivering great service with a good price with the 50,000 direct hotel relationships that we've built over the last 17 years on the group booking side.
Could you walk me through each channel or each segment of your revenue streams?
Each segment of my revenue streams, we start with the individual bookings, and that would just be somebody that was searching to book a room in a city, and they would typically start out on a search engine, find HotelPlanner or reservations.com, which is the company we're merging with for this three-way merger and the SPAC deal, or other company meetings.com. And once they start to search out destination and hotels with rates, they may have some additional questions. We put a 1-800 number there for them to call. Once they pick that up, they talk to an agent that's localized, and then that agent helps them complete the booking, or they can simply complete it online with a credit card. They'll see a plethora of different options there. We take pride in having, as many options as possible for each customer, because we're doing so many types of different groups and events and travelers, that we want to have suites with breakfast included or not included, corner king rooms, adjoining rooms, club suite rooms. I mean, you name it, we want that option there. So they'll be surprised with how many options they have to choose from. And then, of course, backed by excellent customer service that comes from having employees all around the world that know our 50,000 hotels on a property level. Because when we're doing multiple rooms, we want to make sure that the reservations we're making that are part of a group all get blocked on the same floor together and get extra services and free room upgrades. So that transitions over to the individual side too. So we're making sure that every customer gets a little bit of extra service.
And then can you talk about the OTA segment as well?
So the OTA is our B2B side. That's where it would be a white label, and customers will find us in the 9+ room option, drop down option when they're searching for a reservation, or in the groups and meetings tab. And that will take them through our system that allows them to search multiple cities at the same time, however many rooms they believe they need. And then of course, they ask them if they need meeting space or banquet space. And then they'll have the option to confirm a instant group rate, which then they can just send out to their members, and their members can confirm each reservation directly with their credit card, or they can take a little bit longer and negotiate online with our 50,000 hotel partners on what kind of specific rate, 2 turns they want for their group booking. And then of course, that takes a little bit longer because you're negotiating with a person on property back and forth. but then they can sign a contract online and basically move that to the customized group booking website process that then they send out to their members. And then, of course, those members book within their block, and then it's completed.
What has a higher profit margin?
Well, the margins will vary on every single reservation. The highest margin would be direct business that comes in, books a pre-paid individual hotel booking.
And do you have a breakdown or an average breakdown by segment?
Our unit economics are some of the best in the industry. So our commission, varies from 20 to 25% per booking. And, our net contribution margin on each booking is around 33%.
And what does your customer acquisition cost look like?
It's typically around $2.50 per booking from PPC, price per click advertising.
Do you have a terminal value on each customer?
That's a little bit more difficult for us because our revenue streams are so diversified. But on average, a individual customer will be around $40 to $50 for us. A group will be around $400 to $500.
And where do you think that you stand within the industry, your competitors?
Well, in group hotel bookings, we're number one. We do 5,000 groups per day. In terms of individual bookings, we're number four. So there's 3 companies that do more hotel bookings than we do.
No, you've grown out of organic growth in an industry that has seen a number of participants come and go. What do you attribute to your longevity and persistence within the space?
I think it has been our attention to that high touch and high automation. I mean, a lot of bigger companies and smaller companies that have tried to tackle the online group hotel booking space have either gone for too much automation or too high touch. And then they either get killed by labor costs when they go for too high touch, or they get killed by lack of customer service. So they can't get conversion when they go for too high of automation. So it's hitting that sweet spot, which has taken us 5 iterations of our technology over 17 years. It's not an easy thing to do. So we've really had to stick with it and ask a lot of questions and make a lot of mistakes and pivot quite a few times and perfect it again and again and again. But luckily, because our co-founder is a brilliant engineer and he handpicks all of our engineers on his team, we have the minds that can A/B test, look at each iteration of the technology and test again and again and again until we get it right. So that's, I guess, one of our competitive advantages to that. And that's not to say that the big guys don't do that exact same thing. They do. It's just that in the niches we go after, we dominate. It's hard for them to put that kind of attention that we will put into those kind of details because for them it's a niche. For us, it's our main market segment.
Once we entered exclusivity with HotelPlanner, we at Astrea really conducted a very comprehensive technology review of the HotelPlanner platform, as well as obviously reservations.com. And it took a lot of work, it took a lot of labor, but it really came out as a major strength and core competency of the company. And again, I have spent 35 plus years in the technology business, and that's the industry I'm from. So I care quite a bit about many issues ranging from cybersecurity exposure, the modern versus old architectures, and so on. And they really got a phenomenal score on all those fronts.
So to that end, what changes were made from the 4th iteration to the 5th?
The 4th iteration was instant group rates, which was taking it away from an ERP system to allowing HotelPlanner to be the merchant of record. so that we could instantly confirm the booking with the property system through a virtual card and send the confirmation back to the customer. It basically means that you can complete an entire group booking in the same session from the time you search to getting a confirmation number for each individual room within your group block into your email or over text within the same session. So that was the fourth iteration. That was instant group bookings. The fifth iteration is the gig economy travel agent platform. So first of its kind, again, automation and high touch. It was transferring what we knew that customers wanted on the group side with the localized planner and transferring that to the individual service side.
And how much of a risk do you attribute to a reclassification of a gig worker in the US at 1099?
That's an excellent question. We're so lucky that we're in such an interesting space of hotel reservations with gig, because we don't necessarily need somebody based right in that city, because we're not an Uber or a Lyft that needs somebody to pick somebody up. We just need somebody to answer a call, to answer questions about somebody who has questions about that city. So for instance, if California, classifies as gig economy workers, then it will put restrictions on us hiring gig workers in California, but that's not to say we can't hire people in Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona. They used to be California residents that still have a very good working knowledge of Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, and so on. And so I think as regulation, pushes gig economy workers, out of certain states or even out of certain countries, we have a lot of flexibility to hire within neighboring countries and neighboring states. So yes, we're very fortunate that way.
And how does your exposure break down by continent for the gig workers?
North America has 90% of our gig workers right now, because that's where 85% of our business is. The other 10% is mainly Europe and Asia. They only get paid as bookings are made, so as revenue is generated, but they are getting paid very well. Top 50% of our gig economy agents are making $20 to $30 an hour. And so they're not a direct expense to us because they're on a revenue share model. And so as we add more capacity, that just means we can take more calls. So right now, our company's only answering 40% of our call volume with our 3,000 agents. So in order to get to 100%, we estimate we'll need to be at least 5,000 agents. When we get to 10,000 agents, that'll give us the opportunity to start powering other online travel agencies for their call centers. And that's where we see great opportunity, because we know the gig economy travel agent platform converts better.
Why does a customer call you as opposed to bookings.com?
Because, with 50,000 direct hotel relationships, we have unique deals that you can't get anywhere else. Interesting fact about our 50,000 hotel partners is that the majority of those are owner operators. A lot of people see a flag like a Marriott, a Hilton, a Hyatt, and they assume that that property is owned by that brand. The truth is, especially for the 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star properties in North America, those are typically franchisees, and they're licensing that brand for what they call the flag that they put outside their hotel. But the person that owns the hotel is usually an owner operator, and they'll live directly on property. And those are the people we're communicating with on a daily basis.
What does your process look like when an issue inevitably comes up? How do you handle complaints?
Oh, we have a customer service team. It has a software program that helps them keep track of everything, escalate them until they reach a successful conclusion. And of course, they pull in all the parties that we can get involved until the problem is solved. So does that not only mean the people on property, but it may also mean, a localized management company for that property, or it could mean a hotel chain contact as well as upper management at our company too. But we'll work until the problem's solved and the person is happy.
What do you see for potential products going forward?
We see us continuing on the path that we set forth 17 years ago, which is to solve the tough problems in hotel and travel e-commerce and groups and meetings. And that's by looking at things that need high touch and high automation, so that we can build the tools that people can use intuitively and put the right customer service touch on that when you need it and you want it, but not when you don't. And that's rather complicated, but I think we get it a little bit better every day by giving people that option whenever they have a question or there's information that's not readily available. But we record all calls that come in, and then we have a team that actually monitors those calls, reviews those calls, and sees what the most frequently asked questions are, and then we try to improve the site and the information that's on it based on that every single day. I think we can do that a little bit better than most, because we do encourage, with a gig economy travel agent reservation platform, we do encourage more calls than others. So we get to hear from our customers every single second and every single minute of the day.
What market offers the largest opportunity going forward for you?
We were born in North America. I believe North America will continue to be our strongest market. It has so much opportunity, especially in the events and meetings and leisure group market. So if you think about it, especially just take sports, for instance. I've lived in Europe for 8 years. I've now lived out here in Asia and Singapore for the last 2 years. When I look at how strong our youth sports are in North America, it's an amazing market. And then they go on to NCAA, college sports, and they continue to travel and play for sports. And then some will go on to the minor leagues or club teams, and then maybe on to the pros. So, our athletes start at a young age and play competitively for decades, and travel is a massive part of that in North America. And then, of course, we love to get together in North America too, so family reunions, because families are large and they get quite spread out pretty quickly, bringing people together for family reunions. Corporations are national and global, so they're always needing to get together. So it's really hard for other areas in the world to compete in the groups and meeting space with North America, because they just have all this demand for getting together in groups.
Now, what challenges do new participants face when entering into the OTA space?
Well, now technology has advanced so much further. The ability to get direct hotel contracts and relationships is a lot harder now. The ability to build a good SEM, search engine marketing strategy is harder. It's also a lot more expensive. So, the barriers of entry are exponentially harder than what they were a decade and a half ago when we got started.
Could you draw personas of travelers through the height of travel restrictions?
So it's an interesting question. When COVID first hit, we knew hotels were still open and that there was travelers in them, and we had to figure out who that traveler was. A large percentage of that traveler was in relation to a work crew, either having to travel to reestablish, an operation that it was being affected by COVID. Health workers were a big traveling group of that segment. And then also just people who were relocating, say they were on assignment at a time, now they had to get back home, and then there was multiple steps to that. And so there was a huge amount of demand for extended stay properties. And so we started to target properties that we knew were good for extended stay. Like we just did a deal with Extended Stay America your properties for your Hilton Garden Inns and Homeward Suites and properties that would have kitchenettes in them became very popular. And the average stay right now is around 3 to 4 nights, and back in the height of COVID, it would be around 2 to 3 weeks. So yes, a lot has changed since then, but that's how it started out. We don't have as many extended stays requests as we did back in 2020, but we have grown that market considerably because of the targeting we did during that time, and so we have kept some of that market share.
And how have your customer behavior changed between 2019 to what their behavior is now?
Well, we actually have found that customers are much less rate sensitive than they were in 2019. 2019 was a time of all-time highs for the industry. Occupancy levels were actually higher than they are in 2021. But the rates that we're seeing customers pay this year, even with lower occupancies, is higher. Pent-up demand is because of pent-up demand, and I think a desire to take that trip no matter what the cost is. And so we're seeing rates that are going in the $500, $600 and up per night, just for a standard room into a lot of destinations, and people are buying it very quickly without even looking at it. So yeah, we've seen rate sensitivity diminish over this time.
Ironically, I am on the last business trip of 2021 in London, having traveled from San Francisco to here this week. It's amazing for me to see my hotel, which is a nice 5-star hotel, 100% fully booked. Trying to get car service from Heathrow into the city on my arrival was impossible. Every car service was overbooked. And restaurants, try to find a restaurant reservation in London right now, where all this news around Omicron is, floating around the world and so on. So interesting observation.
Tim, could you walk me through what your international expansion roadmap looks like?
So over the last 10 years, we've put offices in very strategic cities: London, Amsterdam. We had an office in Hong Kong, and now we have an office in Singapore. The office in Hong Kong is being transferred to Singapore because we feel it's a perfect location to handle the expansion of our business in Australia and New Zealand, at the same time being close to Northern Asia for the business we do in China, Japan, and Korea. And of course, Southeast Asia market is a huge tourism destination. So you have Indonesia here, you have Malaysia, you have the Philippines, and you have Thailand being the biggest destination worldwide for travelers. So we're very happy. I've been based here for the last couple of years, and we're very happy about the growth in the Asian market. And our European offices are overseen by Baz Lemons, who is one of the co-founders of Bookings.com, and he's based out of Amsterdam. And Europe growth has gotten stronger and stronger as time goes on. One of the things that I've noticed is a expat, moving around the world to help our international expansion, is finding localized talent goes a long way. So, my main objective is not to try to do too much myself, but to find the right talent that has the right connections to get deals done within their market. And of course, that goes to our sense of localized service is always better. And that's what we've done and found very talented managing directors. Like right here in the Singapore market, we have Chris Lee, who is an entrepreneur and started Venue Explorer, which was a company that we bought right before COVID. And then, of course, Baz Lemons, as I mentioned. And then in the UK, we have Tim Gunstone, who started i4Travel and is now our MD of the UK. So, great talent that helps grow those markets locally.
How do I figure out the right valuation for your company?
The stock price I do not feel reflect the true value in companies right now. A lot of people think that the market is inflated, and that may be true on the the top end for the really big names, right? Because everybody has gravitated into the FANG stocks over COVID and the pandemic pivot, stocks. But with the SPAC market boom right now, I think a lot of investors have overlooked a lot of good up and coming talent. And so I would say you can look to our investor deck, and we have a slide based on comps. And right now, we're very undervalued. And I can say that very confidently, because when we were going through the SPAC process, we turned down offers that were much higher valuation for our company. We wanted to pick a SPAC partner that had done a successful SPAC and de-SPACing before, and saw that the stock price go up and up and up, as Mohsen mentioned before. Taking a company public and then having the stock climb was what our intention was. So we've priced the valuation of the company where it's far under our competitive set, and the slides in our investor deck show that. And that's done with the intention of making sure our stock climbs over the next couple of years.
And what do your competitors look like for their valuation multiples?
Competitors are ranging between 5x of revenues to as high as 10 and 11x of revenues. We're at 4x of 2021 revenues and only 3.3x of our 2022 estimated revenues for our valuation.
So you're talking about international expansion. How much capital do you need to fund your growth?
Well, we've been bootstrapped entrepreneurs for a decade and a half. So the capital that we currently have through our cash flows is, enough to hit our forecasted growth, which is significant. It's over 30% year over year. We did not forecast growth from the use of proceeds by intention, because as you know, with a SPAC, you don't know what redemptions are going to be. So we wanted to be able to go public without depending on extra cash from the use of proceeds, so that we didn't restrict ourselves based on redemptions. So pretty much to answer your question, the forecast that we have out there is based on our current growth trajectory of cash flows and the momentum that's currently built into the company and the synergies from the three-way merger.
And how are you going to be using your proceeds?
Proceeds will be mainly to increase search engine marketing spend, to hire some more engineers and to hire more sales staff. And then, of course, what's left over after that, we'll use for mergers and acquisitions.
Could you give me a breakdown of what that looks like?
Sure. About 30% for the SEM, and then 20% for additional engineers, and 20% for sales staff, and then of course 30% will be used for M&A.
How are you positioned for tail events now that you've navigated COVID?
We're positioned in a really good place. I mean, we over 2020, as Mohsen described, our revenues were only down by 23%, where our competitive set was down by over 50%. And a big part of that was because of our gig economy travel agent reservation platform. Travelers during times of uncertainty want to pick up the phone and talk to a localized expert. And we know this is true because we outperformed our forecast over Q3 of this year. And you can see that on our proxy online right now. And that was over the Delta variant. And we could do that because the gig economy travel agent reservation platform performed very well. So the stronger that gets, the more that variants actually help us. They don't hurt us. Any kind of uncertainty means people are going to want to pick up the phone, talk to a local expert, and that's what we have that no other competitor has. I mean, if you've been through a black swan event, you're always going to be more prepared for the next black swan event. So yes, we feel much more comfortable going into something like that. We already know the calls we have to make, the adjustments to our expenses that we quickly have to make, the calls to our supply partners, the calls to our banking partners, all of that has already been documented, and we can just follow that playbook. But luckily, with the gig economy travel agent reservation platform, we're that much more prepared for that. Because if you think about it, there's nothing more flexible than that. Most people will be able to work from home whenever a black swan event happens, right? And anything you're describing. That's perfect for our gig economy reservation travel agent platform. And most people who have to travel over that time will want to talk to a local expert. And that's where our gig economy travel agent platform comes into play again. So of any travel company out there, we're the most prepared right now based on those factors.
You talk about resilience and being prepared for black swan events. HotelPlanner's motto is high touch and high automation. And again, by definition, high automation reflects the management's conviction on bringing innovation to the industry. One innovation that HotelPlanner uniquely has brought to the industry and doesn't get enough credit for is this concept of gig economy workers, where agents are scattered all over the world, helping us plan our travel accordingly and with their help. Now, another situation, so as we invest more and more in automation and technology and on artificial intelligence with gig-based economy type workers, which is the bulk of our employee base, we can expand rapidly, or we can shrink rapidly. And therefore, we are very prepared for black swan events, which we hope that they never happen, but they will happen.
Could you walk me through how you constructed the transaction?
As the shareholders have warrants and as the stock price increases, they redeem their warrants. The executives have an earn-out structure that's in line with the warrants, so we can receive additional shares in the company as the stock price increases as well. So we're very much incentivized to grow revenues and EBITDA in a way that the public markets will appreciate the value growth in the company, so the stock price increases.
Mohsen, could you tell me what your team learned from the last transaction?
The last transaction turned out to be very, very successful in the final analysis. But going through the process, the team made all the mistakes in the book. If I tell you that the execution was perfect, I'm misrepresenting the facts. A lot of mistakes were made, and most importantly, a lot of lessons were learned from those mistakes. And as such, with this Act 2, HotelPlanner, and the merger with reservation.com, we have done our best not to repeat those same mistakes and overall minimize our mistakes and so on. So that has made the initial IPO very favorable and relatively easy, and we announced our target HotelPlanner in the span of I think 6 months, where we had 2 years to find our target and do the deal. And similarly, we have full conviction that the final chapter of this de-SPACing process will be completed in a short order very successfully as well.
And what were you looking for on this transaction?
A management that is committed to the long-term growth of profit, EBITDA, and revenue, and their interest structures that is aligned with that. As Tim, my colleague, highlighted, a lot of money for them is tied to their future performance. Not everything is going to be handed over day one post this IPO. These people have the intention and the incentives to perform over a long-term period.
Now, outside of a cash infusion, what does your team bring to the table for HotelPlanner?
Well, I will be joining the board of directors of HotelPlanner. I am not a hotel industry expert. I am a technology industry veteran. I have been an entrepreneur, CEO, founder, sold my company, exit, and senior executive at Cisco, and the venture capitalist in the last 8-9 years. So I've been in every cycle of technology value chain, if you may. And at the end of the day, there's no industry or no segment of the economy today, from taxis to banking, that is not technology. Every company is tech company, and with obviously my SPAC colleagues have a lot of financial and finance background and discipline that are extremely well versed in the discipline. And me, I think I can add some value in the technology segment, and therefore it's a strong combination to add to all the domain expertise and experience of the team at HotelPlanner and reservation.com.
When we were first building HotelPlanner a decade and a half ago, our commitment was primarily to building the best product so that customers would seek us out and we could grow revenues and become profitable. Then as the company grew over time, our commitment became bigger than that. Our commitment became to our employees as well as our customers, and then of course the community at large. As we've grown and grown and grown, both nationally and then internationally, the opportunity to go public and future-proof HotelPlanner for the next generation and the generation after that becomes part of that greater vision of building a company that can be long-term sustainable and can continue to give back. When we found a SPAC like Astrea, led by a technology industry leader like Mohsen, who shares all those same values, we knew that we were partnering up with the right team. And then of course, with a three-way merger with a company like reservations.com, where their two co-founders, Yatin Patel and Mahesh Chadha, have a very similar background as I do and John Prince does. Both bootstrapped entrepreneurs, no debt, as I said before, and a heavy emphasis on giving back. Makes this unique because when we do get public, 70% of the company will be owned by the four founders. So with the Astrea SPAC having such an emphasis on community, and then with the four founders having a long history of that too, we really are building a great company that will have the values that will give back to not just shareholders, but to customers, employees, and community. The ESG that everybody's looking for these days is embedded in HotelPlanner, and you can see it right in the diversity of our board. So if people see, the different board members that we've pulled together, Kate Walsh, who's the Dean of the Cornell Hotel School, Dylan Radigan, who had his own show on MSNBC, Moazami, executive with Cisco Systems, Jim Wilkinson, who is a Secretary of the Treasury, and then, of course, Dieter Huckenstein, who is the CEO of Hilton. The diversity around their experience, Gianno Caldwell, who is one of our youngest members, political analyst, African-American from the South Side of Chicago, and is now on our board. Just all of that diversity, all of these people coming from different backgrounds that want to help with this project to take it to the next level and to make us one of the most successful travel tech companies on the NASDAQ is pretty amazing, and we're very excited about it.
I would like to add that HotelPlanner has been a sustainable company and a profitable company for the past 17 years on a bootstrap, self-funded fashion. And we have every confidence that as a high automation combined with high touch, innovative technology-enabled company, they will thrive for the next 30 plus years in the public markets. So pay attention to HotelPlanner.
Well, I really appreciate you both taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you so much, and enjoyed it a lot.